From the towers of Toronto to the factories of Brampton, something massive is happening. But no one's talking about it. Canada isn't just changing, it's being rebuilt by new hands, new rules, and a silent takeover no one voted for. Stay with me, because once you see the truth, you'll never look at Canada the same way again. Chapter 1. The Hidden Shift. How Canada quietly changed from the factories of Brampton to the construction cranes rising over Vancouver's skyline. Canada's heartbeat is changing. The faces, voices, and hands building this country today tell a story few dare to confront. For decades, we believed we were simply a nation of immigrants. Open, diverse, inclusive. But beneath the surface, something far deeper has been unfolding. A transformation so vast that it's quietly redrawing the social, cultural, and economic fabric of the nation. Immigration used to be Canada's strength, a tool for growth and renewal. But today, it's become a silent revolution reshaping who holds power, who gets hired, and who gets left behind. Over 500,000 newcomers arrive every year, the highest rate in Canadian history. The promise was prosperity. The reality, a growing divide between the new and the native-born, between opportunity and exclusion. In cities like Toronto, Surrey, and Brampton, entire industries have changed hands. Construction crews once dominated by blue-collar Canadians are now filled with South Asian teams. In healthcare, Filipino nurses fill the gaps left by exhausted local staff. And in technology, Chinese-Canadian networks have quietly taken over major innovation hubs. What was once a balanced mosaic is becoming a hierarchy, one that few want to discuss out loud. The government calls it diversity, but for many working Canadians, it feels more like displacement. Long-time citizens watch as job postings increasingly ask for languages they don't speak and cultural networks they can't access. This isn't about race, it's about reality. A silent shift is taking place, and if we don't talk about it now, it might soon be too late. What began as immigration for opportunity has become immigration for replacement, not of people, but of position. Who gets the contract, the promotion, the home, the influence? These are no longer random outcomes. They're the results of years of unbalanced policy, foreign education advantage, and quiet preference systems built behind closed doors. Canada didn't vote for this change. It was decided for them. Chapter 2. The New Workforce. Indians, Chinese, and Filipinos take the helm. Every revolution begins quietly, not with protests, but paychecks. Today, the Canadian workforce tells the story of a massive reshuffling. The majority of new workers entering the system are no longer Canadian-born. They are Indian engineers, Filipino nurses, and Chinese entrepreneurs, highly skilled, deeply connected, and fiercely networked. In the tech sector, Indian professionals dominate entire divisions. Companies from Vancouver to Ottawa rely heavily on recruitment pipelines from Hyderabad and Bangalore. In healthcare, nearly 1 in 3 nurses in major hospitals trace their roots to the Philippines. And in business and real estate, Chinese investors drive both funding and hiring decisions. But the question most Canadians quietly ask is, where does that leave us? Many middle-class citizens now feel outmatched, not by talent, but by systems. Recruitment agencies prioritize international credentials. Interview panels are increasingly led by managers who prefer to hire from their own cultural background. The once fair competition for opportunity has turned into a closed circle of global networks. In cities like Mississauga and Calgary, Canadian-born graduates are working side by side with international recruits, earning the same titles but under very different terms. Newcomers are often more willing to accept lower pay, longer hours, and stricter contracts. For employers, the choice is obvious, but for local workers, it's devastating. And yet, this is not about resentment. It's about recognition. The system Canada built to fill labor shortages has now created a parallel economy. Indians, Chinese, and Filipinos are not just filling jobs. They're building new ecosystems that revolve around themselves. From transportation to tech startups, they've found ways to grow together, while native-born Canadians struggle to find a place in the very industries their taxes support. This isn't a takeover by force, it's a takeover by design. Chapter 3. The Housing War. Who's really buying Canada? Walk through the suburbs of Toronto or Richmond and you'll see it. The signs aren't written in English anymore. Luxury cars line driveways of newly built homes that Canadians can no longer afford. The housing market has become the new battleground, and foreign-born wealth is winning. Indians, Chinese, and Filipinos are now among the largest groups of property buyers in Canada. Chinese investors in particular have transformed entire neighborhoods through offshore capital. Filipinos, with their strong remittance networks, invest collectively, often buying multi-family homes. Indian families, arriving through student and work programs, pool extended family wealth to purchase homes, sometimes within months of arrival. Meanwhile, young Canadians watch from the sidelines. They can't compete with international money or multi-family financing. The dream of owning a home, once the foundation of Canadian stability, is now drifting out of reach. Real estate is no longer about shelter, it's about strategy. The buyers who understand the system use it to dominate it. Developers quietly cater to this market. Housing projects now feature bilingual marketing campaigns targeting foreign investors. Bidding wars often start before a listing ever reaches the public MLS system. The result? Soaring prices, ghost homes, and rising resentment. The truth is, Canada's housing crisis isn't just about supply, it's about control. The same policies that opened the door for international buyers closed it for Canadians. And while the government talks about affordability, it benefits from the very tax revenues those inflated prices create. The system rewards foreign money while punishing the very citizens who built this country. Every mortgage tells a story. And right now, too many of those stories no longer belong to Canadians. Chapter 4. Healthcare on the Brink. Who's keeping it alive? If you've visited a Canadian hospital lately, you've seen it firsthand. Canada's healthcare system is being held together by the hands of immigrants. Filipino nurses, Indian doctors, and Chinese lab technicians now make up a massive share of hospital staff. Without them, the system would collapse. But the deeper question is, why has Canada become so dependent on foreign labor to save its own system? The answer lies in decades of neglect. Canadian medical graduates face limited residency spots, forcing many to leave the country. Meanwhile, hospitals import thousands of healthcare workers each year. It's efficient in the short term, but devastating in the long term. The system is no longer building Canadian professionals, it's outsourcing them. Filipino workers are the backbone of caregiving. From long-term care to hospital wards, they are praised for their dedication and compassion. Indian doctors fill crucial rural positions. Chinese specialists run cutting-edge labs and research facilities. But while Canada applauds their service, it quietly ignores the growing displacement of homegrown professionals who once filled these roles. Patients notice it too. In some hospitals, communication barriers and cultural differences now challenge the patient-care relationship. Meanwhile, Canadian-born nurses, overworked and underpaid, are leaving in record numbers. The system they built no longer feels like their own. This is not about division, it's about direction. Who will define Canadian healthcare in the next 20 years? The workers coming in or the Canadians being pushed out? Because if the lifeline of a nation depends on others, how long before that lifeline is no longer yours? Midpoint engagement prompt. If you've made it this far, it means you care about Canada's future. Hit like if you believe Canadians deserve transparency about immigration and opportunity. And don't forget to subscribe to True North Canada First, the only place where we uncover the truths no one else will. Let's keep going, because the story only gets deeper from here. Chapter 5. The Classroom Divide. Education and the Next Generation. Step into any Canadian university, and you'll see the next wave of transformation in full motion. Lecture halls that once echoed with a mix of accents now sound distinctly foreign. The education system, Canada's pride, has become a global business. International students from India, China and the Philippines now make up nearly half of the population in some colleges. They're not just learning here, they're reshaping what education in Canada means. Indian students dominate postgraduate programs, especially in technology, business and engineering. Chinese students flood the science and research faculties, while Filipinos gravitate toward healthcare and nursing. These students pay 2 to 3 times more in tuition than locals, so institutions depend on them for survival. But this dependency has turned universities into corporations, where profit outweighs purpose. Meanwhile, Canadian students are quietly squeezed out. Many can't get into their preferred programs due to reduced domestic enrollment spaces, or they leave burdened by debt. They feel like outsiders in their own education system, watching as their schools market themselves more aggressively in Asia than at home. Graduation no longer guarantees a Canadian job. After their studies, many international students seamlessly transition into work permits, using policies designed to fast-track residency. They are hardworking and ambitious, but their growing numbers mean Canadian graduates are competing in their own backyard, often for lower pay. Canada's classrooms have become global recruitment centres, not for knowledge, but for immigration. And if education defines the future, then Canada's tomorrow is already being written by others. Chapter 6. Culture Clash. Old Canada versus the new Mosaic. Culture used to unite Canadians. Today it's what divides them. Across cities like Brampton, Markham, Surrey and Winnipeg, Canada's cultural identity is shifting faster than ever before. Festivals, food and faith have replaced familiar traditions, and for many, it feels like watching the country they grew up in slowly fade into memory. In some neighborhoods, English and French are no longer the dominant languages. Signs are in Punjabi, Mandarin or Tagalog. New cultural hubs are rising, temples, mosques and ethnic malls, while traditional Canadian landmarks are being repurposed or forgotten. It's not inherently wrong, but it's undeniably different. Canadians used to describe their country as a mosaic. But what happens when the pieces no longer connect? Integration has given way to separation. Communities live side by side but rarely together. Schools celebrate diversity, but real unity feels like a fading dream. Cultural replacement isn't intentional, it's systemic. Immigration policies favor volume over balance. Rapid demographic shifts have overwhelmed local infrastructure, pushing long-time Canadians to the margins. Even holidays and public events are shifting focus. Canada's identity, once rooted in common values, now feels fragmented by competing narratives. The question no one wants to ask is, at what point does inclusion erase identity? Because as much as Canada opens its doors to the world, it risks closing its own chapter in the process. Chapter 7. The Silent Impact. What it means for the Canadian middle class. Every economic policy has a face, and for most Canadians, that face is tired. The middle class, the foundation of Canada's prosperity, is being crushed under the weight of change. Inflation, housing costs and competition have left many Canadians wondering what happened to the promise of a fair life. Jobs that once paid a living wage now barely cover rent. Employers have discovered a new normal. Hire foreign workers who will accept less. It's legal, efficient and politically untouchable. For Canadians, it's a slow suffocation, not from laziness or lack of skill, but from a system that values affordability over loyalty. At the same time, immigration-fueled demand drives up prices for everything: housing, food, and even healthcare wait times. Yet the government insists the system is working. For whom, though? For the corporate elite who profit from cheap labor and endless turnover, or for the everyday Canadian struggling to buy groceries in a country that once promised stability. The middle class is the new endangered species. Young professionals delay having families, retirees dip into savings, and students wonder if their degrees will ever mean something again. Canada's economic ladder hasn't disappeared. It's just being pulled up faster than most can climb. The irony is that newcomers also feel the struggle. They arrive chasing opportunity, only to discover the same hardships that Canadians face: low wages, high rent, and false promises. The real winners are the institutions that profit from both sides: government tax collectors, developers, and corporations. The average Canadian, whether born here or newly arrived, is being squeezed by the same invisible hand. And it's tightening. Chapter 8. The Crossroads. Will Canada reclaim its future? There comes a moment in every nation's history when it must decide what kind of future it wants. Canada is standing at that crossroads now. Do we remain a country built on fairness, unity, and shared values, or do we become a corporation where citizenship is a transaction and identity is optional? The takeover isn't just about people, it's about policy. Canada's leaders know the numbers, yet they continue to chase growth over stability. They promise multicultural harmony, but deliver economic dependency. They talk about equality while Canadians struggle to afford a home, a job, or even a sense of belonging. But the story doesn't have to end this way. If Canadians find the courage to speak up, not with hate, but with honesty, change is still possible. We can build an immigration system that balances compassion with capacity, one that protects both opportunity and identity. It starts with truth. It starts with conversation. It starts with Canadians refusing to be silent any longer, because the takeover isn't complete, not yet. There's still time to reclaim Canada's story before it's rewritten entirely. If you believe Canada deserves transparency, equality, and balance, then join the movement. Subscribe now to True North Canada First and help us reach 6,000 subscribers. Together we can give Canadians back their voice and remind the world that this land still belongs to those who built it.